All right, you about ready? All right, let me know when your mics are hot. Good evening and welcome to the Tulsa Expo Center. Yeah, it's not January, and yeah, things are a little different, but guess what? Yep, we are racing here at the Chili Bowl, and you can see already this track beginning to slick off. It has lost a lot of moisture already here in practice, and we anticipate they'll probably prep it a little bit for qualifying, add a little bit more back to it, but something tells me if you're in one of those late heats tonight, you are going to have your work cut out for you. 7 heats, bunch of alphabet soup, and as usual, typical Chili Bowl antics here at the small layout in Tulsa. And in true POWRi TV style, we want to give a shout out to Heather Staza. And every time we use the term slide job tonight, you may or may not be permitted to take one of Heather Staza's famous Jello shots from the Chili Bowl. So just saying, you might want to get that ready to go. You got time. Don't worry. There's about 10 minutes or so left in practice, plus time trials. Then we'll set the heats and be ready to go as they continue to practice here at the Chili Bowl. Enjoy the sights and sounds. We'll be back with you here in just a little bit as we get closer to race time here on POWRi TV and our affiliate social media outlets. Glad to have you aboard for what promises to be a rather unique evening of racing at the virtual Chili Bowl here live on POWRi TV. And welcome to those of you tuning in on our various social channels and partner sites, including POWRi TV, Speedsport TV, and a host of others. Yes, your eyes do not deceive you. We are at the virtual Chili Bowl here outside or in Tulsa, Oklahoma, I guess I should say. Although we're not really anywhere except in the comfort of our own homes and the safety, I guess you would call it as well, wherever we happen to be. But that's some of the beauty of iRacing is being able to do things like that over the course of the current situation that has enveloped the entire world for that matter. Cars starting to make their way off track as the drivers' meeting commencing here momentarily. We'll have a little bit of downtime, and you'll miss some of those sights and sounds here at the Chili Bowl. But qualification set to go in about 5 minutes or so. And once those cars are ready to rip, we'll be back with you, give you a rundown of how things are going to shake out here at the POWRi Midget League Chili Bowl this afternoon and this evening. So just like that, practice has concluded here at the Tulsa Expo Center, and watching live here on POWRi TV. We're glad to have you aboard. As you can see, they've done a little bit of track prep here. They threw some people out on the tractor and the water truck, and all of a sudden, what was a rather dry and used up racetrack, as some drivers would call it, is no longer. It is much fresher here than maybe what it was just a few moments ago. That is the other great thing about iRacing. Yeah, they grid really quickly, but track prep is exceptionally fast. So you don't have to worry about, you know, any kind of long lines at the beer stand or the refreshment area or whatever the case might be, because we get it done really quickly. Now, I'm sure the virtual promoters probably wouldn't be a fan of that, but guess what? Hot dogs don't pay the bills in iRacing, so we don't have to worry about that when it's all said and done. As a couple of drivers are, again, starting to get sorted out on their qualifying laps. You'll see various ones making their runs here around the Chili Bowl layout. Brennan Rogers enters tonight, leading the points. He's currently second fastest at the moment to James Tiernan. Emerson Axsom's up there in the top 5. Christian Bruno is there at the moment, and a host of others as they continue to circulate. And these guys will get a handful of laps. And you'll see some of the teams and drivers that have some experience here maybe do a little bit better. It's a very unique racetrack, and already in practice, a number of the pilots saying, hey, this thing is loose for my driving style. And a couple of them said, you know what, we just got to deal with it. You'll see them sling them in the corner. You'll see them pick it up, the throttle, and there's most definitely a cushion here in the virtual Chili Bowl. And you'll see a lot of guys down along the inside berm as well. Do you tread to the middle? I think at some point you probably will, but not sure how that's going to play out. It's already starting to dry out a little bit as nearly 60 cars making a handful of laps in their time trial attempt. So that will dry it out. There's no doubt about that. And of course, as we mentioned, about 11 events set to go before the track sees prep work yet again. 7 heat races and 4 consolation rounds, part of the alphabet soup. An E, a D, a C, and a B main, followed by some track prep, a quick warm-up, and of course, a feature event that is 50 laps long here this evening. Well, some of the latest news here in the POWRi Racing League as well. It was announced not that long ago. I'm thinking like maybe an hour or so ago, that one of our drivers, guess what? Yeah, he's going to end up in a Keith Kuntz midget before this is all said and done, and that's the driver of the 01, Bryant Wademan. I don't think the ink is even dry on the press release and the contract yet. It was just announced, as we said, maybe an hour or so ago, and Bryant is here tonight piloting car 01, currently 22nd fastest as the time trial standings do stand. Top of the board, however, Dason Persley, no surprise there. He currently 3rd in series points. He is top of the board, the only driver to make it down the 10-second range, a 10:95 his lap. James Tiernan 2nd, Brennan Rogers 3rd, Emerson Axsom and Cannon McIntosh currently the top 5 as the clock winds down on what is scheduled to be a 5-minute time trial session. A couple of drivers have yet to record a lap, and that's Brody McLaughlin, Joel Rayburn, and Jesse Love. Love actually on track at the moment, so he will be getting an attempt to maybe try something here before it's all said and done, but we'll have to see if he can get that in before the clock expires. And for that matter, as we've seen, a lot of drivers having issues keeping them off the wall here. Very tight confines in the Chili Bowl means, yep, you guessed it, that you can hit the fence. And if you hit the fence, you touch it, you hit something you shouldn't hit in iRacing, negate your qualifying lap, and that's very simple because it could give you an unintended advantage. I mean, we've all seen guys bounce them off the wall at certain places, and when it's supposed to be you versus the clock, that's not exactly a very fair way to do it. So iRacing will ding you if you hit the fence, touch the wall, or for that matter, if it was an open session and hit another car or something like that, as Jesse Love has jumped up to 28th fastest so far. He now getting ready to start his 4th of 4 circuits, and he just about spun her out in turn 1. So Jesse Love's attempt at qualification, not a great one. His fast lap, 11:4.98, puts him 28th fastest of the drivers that have registered a time so far, and that's going to do it for time trials. This qualification session is over, and that means we are ready to go for heat races. Again, 10 laps in length, and tonight, the top 2 advance to the main event. Starting lineup in this one, led by Dason Persley in the 09. Aiden Perdue will be to his outside. Perdue tied with Dason in the series points coming into tonight. And Robert Dalby, well, he is 5th in points, 3rd in this one. Anton Hernandez, who was fast last week. Bryson Smith, Riley Gray, Ethan Mitchell, Hunter Fisher, and Quentin Sam's going to be the 9 cars that start heat race number 7. See him lined up here in the front straightaway, and at 10 seconds a lap or 11 seconds a lap, you better hold. You can probably hold your breath quite literally for as long as these heat races take. Once we drop the rag, less than 2 minutes apiece. And remember, if you weren't with us at the outset, Heather Staza will be producing a lot of races for POWRi TV this season. She spent a lot of time at the Chili Bowl, and she's hit a few buttons in her day to make some TV and make some magic there. But she's also known for her world-famous Jello shots at the Chili Bowl. So I was told earlier, you've got to make reference to her Chili Bowl Jello shots. So that's fine. How about we do this? Everybody at home, it's a Tuesday night. There's not a whole lot going on. Half the world is working from home, so your boss isn't going to see you hungover anyway. And if you do sleep in, nobody's really going to care probably. So tonight's fun at home. Every time we use the term slide job, if you've got some Jello shots in the fridge, particularly those of Heather Staza's variety, we would ask that you consume one. We might not get through the heats before this is said and done, but we'll find out. We will not be held responsible for anything negative that happens to you. Please, slide job, please drink responsibly. There's your first one. All right. Yeah, we might sneak 1 or 2 of those in here. Yeah, we won't lie. We might do that. Field is on the 1-to-go signal. Dason Persley, Aiden Perdue, they'll be bringing them down, and it'll be interesting to see. This is essentially a brand new racetrack, at least compared to what we had in practice. We'll see how quickly it dries out as they idle through turns 3 and 4. Green flag is in the air. Persley out to the jump, and he slides up, opens the door for, well, Aiden Perdue. That's what the battle's going to be. Remember, top 2 transfer. 1 car out of shape. That was Anton Hernandez out of turn 4. A couple others getting them crossed up. And it's Persley and Perdue at the front of the field. Robert Dalby immediately behind them, trying to reel them in. A little contact between the top 2. They nearly locked Nerf bars. Persley starts to do a wheelie in that thing. He puts it right up there on the cushion. Look at this. We've got attempted slide jobs all over this racetrack. Persley now back to the top. Perdue running the bottom. Now Dalby's got a shot at second. The traffic immediately in front of them as well. That traffic, Hunter Fisher being scored in the 8th spot, car 24. Where is he going to go? He kind of picks the middle, slides up high. That's going to allow Persley now to navigate through on the underside. Perdue is going to do the exact same thing. Dalby is starting to get left behind just a wee little bit. Oh, contact! Up in the outside wall goes Aiden Perdue. Problems getting around the slower car of Hunter Fisher. Perdue now finds himself outside of a transferring position. He is in P3, looking for second. Look at him, rim ride around Robert Dalby. He's found the cushion to be the way for him as Dalby committed to the inside, hooking the left front on that berm, trying to follow that chalk line here at the Chili Bowl. Field now on the last lap of this one. It has been all Dason Persley since he got the point. He'll claim heat race number 1 and advance to the A main. Aiden Perdue finishes second. Robert Dalby, Anton Hernandez, Bryson Smith, and everyone else going to have to come through the consolation rounds. And just like it is in the real Chili Bowl, it's likely going to be a very tough task here this afternoon and this evening as the field continues to line up for heat race number 2. Cool little story. Now, most of you folks probably watched the Chili Bowl on you heard this story, but if you didn't, and this whole idea is new to you, um, we talk a lot about how iRacing is one of the most accurate simulations anywhere in the world as far as motorsports is concerned. And one of the reasons that it is how they laser scan the tracks down to the millimeter. Every bump, every nook, cranny, crevice, deformation in the wall, you name it, it is all replicated here in iRacing. Well, back at the Chili Bowl in January, there were some issues in turn one, and they called up old Kevin Iannarelli from iRacing. He's one of the associate producers and in charge of track development, essentially. And they said, Kevin, can you give us some measurements from last year? We want to double check some stuff. All right, sure. Went to the office, pulled up the stuff, said, all right, what you need to know? And they said, is this right? And he said, actually, I got it a few feet wider here, a couple inches narrower there. So what they do, they use that data to replicate the track for the previous year. And that's probably going to become something that is a very valuable tool for some of these dirt track promoters, as we've got big problems already. One car up on the outside wall. I believe that was James Tiernan. He was one of your faster qualifiers, and we've got another one up on the outside fence as well. He'll roll it over and keep digging. Meanwhile, Christian Bruno and Jake Trainer have jutted out to the lead, but the fight back here for third and fourth, well, it's a dandy. Nothing happening up front yet. Tiernan now has moved himself into third after nearly trying to climb through the catch fence on lap number one. I know we were saying we're doing slide jobs, and they tried one behind them, but dang gum, that's not what we had in mind. I was supposed to slide him around sideways. You know, it almost looked like Ross Weiss Chili Bowl a few years ago. He tried to climb in the midget, oh boy. Hey, props to our buddy Ross. He did a good job. Everybody lives that, once has that dream, not everybody's able to live it. Meanwhile, fight for second, not a fight for much longer. James Tiernan, slide job around the 46 of Jake Trainer. That means Tiernan now up to P2 into a qualifying position. Can he chase down Christian Bruno? We're already past the halfway point. 6 down, 4 to go this time around. Here we go. Tiernan has reeled in Christian Bruno. He's not going to have a lot of time, but he's trying to make the inside work. Off turn 4, our white flag is in the air. This the final circuit. Tiernan tries to avoid contact. He lays the right rear to him a little bit, but there's traffic in front of him. Has to check up. Bruno, though, committed to the bottom, and that means that James Tiernan going to claim heat race number 2 over Christian Bruno. Both of them advance to the A. Trainer, Newman, Williams, and others are going to have to come through the consolation rounds. We got midgets trying to go through the fence in the virtual Chili Bowl here. Luckily, the fence here is pretty doggone bulletproof. That's a good thing for sure. So the field is lined up. In fact, the pace truck begins to move away. For heat race number 3, Brennan Rogers and Jaden Wolf, they are on the front row of this one. Carter Sarf, Christian Townsend, row 2, Blake Brandon, Anthony Jacina, Jake Erickson, Riker Pace, and Joel Rayburn going to make up the field in this one. Across the stripe, the lights will extinguish around the Chili Bowl. That means it is nearly time to get rolling. Pace trucks off to the infield. Rogers and Wolf through turns 3 and 4. Just like that, we're off and racing yet again. Relatively clean this time through turns 1, 2, 3, and 4. A couple of cars making contact further back, but up on the outside wall, Carter Sarf nearly tried to climb it. He's up to third. He might experience it again. No, he just about put that thing in the fence, but found the limit back in that purple and blue number 21. He's trying to chase down Jade Wolf and Brennan Rogers. Those are the top 2. They are in the qualifying positions here in heat race number 3. Again, top 2 make their way into tonight's feature event. And that fight for second is going to become a dandy here very, very quickly. As Jaden Wolf has it. Carter Sarf wants it. And Sarf now has got his tailpipe full of Blake Brannon. So that might be welcome news if you're Jaden Wolf, if those two get to racing behind you. So we're already across the halfway point in this one. And once again, you can see the track begin to slick off, especially on entry here. You're starting to see it widen out as far as the slickness is concerned. You can see everybody trying to search for that moisture, be it up top or down at the bottom. A couple of different lanes drivers are trying to use to get as much speed as possible out of these race cars. The pace, compared to time trials anyway, almost a second slower already, and the track continues to dry out and begin to take on some of that character. So if you're one of these later heat races, you are going to have to be very easy on the throttle. Just ease that car off into the corner as we cross the stripe with now 2 laps to go. Things are sorted out up front. Rogers has a pretty sizable lead over Jaden Wolf, Carter Sarf and company. The white flag is out for Rogers. If he can keep it straight for the next 2 corners, he is going to have himself a heat race win. Into turns 3 and 4, he will do so. Brennan Rogers wins heat race number 3. Jaden Wolf finishes second, followed by Carter Sarf, Blake Brannon, and Chris Townsend. Of course, I want to remind you, if you're watching on POWRi TV, or for that matter, again, any of our affiliates, we're glad to have you aboard, number 1. Number 2, I want to remind you, become a subscriber to POWRi TV once all this stuff gets rolling. And the good news is it may be sooner rather than later in certain areas of the country. And that's welcome news to any race fans' ears. We just certainly hope and pray that it stays that way. And obviously plenty of concerns from various people about being too early or too late or too much or too little. Whatever the case is, we certainly hope that whatever decision is made is the right one, and we can go racing here sooner rather than later. But yes, when that happens, we want to remind you that you can become a subscriber to POWRi TV and catch all those events live and or on demand. Whatever your heart desires, because we're going to have every single bit of it, whether it's midgets, sprints, micro, whatever POWRi is going to sanction this year and be able to run. We're going to have it all on POWRi TV. Proud to be part of the Speed Sport TV network. Speed Sport, proud supporters of open wheel racing for a number of years, as this field now off and rolling with Emerson Axum, race leader over Brian Bennett. And behind him, it is a hornet's nest. Mason McGee, Bryant Wiedemann, the fresh new signee to Keith Kunz Motorsports. He's up there in the middle of that one as well, the 01 car. And watch out, Wiedemann up to 4th. The contact from behind from Jesse Love, who nearly went around and kind of got helped back around by Jake Smith. No harm, no fouling. And top 2 make their way into the A. Wiedemann, if nothing else, wants to lead him down towards the front in the B. He now moves up to 3rd. This might be the fight here, as he's got Mason McKee all up underneath him. 3 wide off turn 2, contact, more contact. We've got Wiedemann in the infield, so his race is ultimately done, as McGee is there. Jesse Love now in the thick of things, and Jake Smith is playing P3. All this now coming to the completion of lap number 6, 4 laps to go. Purple and white car, Jake Smith starting to pull away from this fight for P3. He may have it all to himself, and if nothing else, again, have a good spot for the B main. Coming up a little bit later here this evening, leader Axum in a little bit of traffic that does involve Bryant Wiedemann. So the leader trying to get around Wiedemann and put him 1 lap down. Wiedemann in a spot now, he is going to have to come through the E main. Doinks the leader Axum. He's certainly not very happy about his situation. But Axum doesn't care. He sees the white flag this time by start finish. He'll ease that car into turns 1 and 2 and presumably do the same thing this time around in turns 3 and 4. Emerson Axum on the throttle to win heat race number 4 here for the POWRi Midget Racing League on iRacing. Claim heat race 4 over Brian Bennett, who also transfers. Smith, Love, McGee, and others going to have to come through the consolation rounds. Well, Miss Staza has apparently, or let me rephrase that, Mrs. Staza has apparently heard of the Jello Shot Challenge that is going down today. And she said, no, we need to give all the attention. Now, what that means, I'm not exactly sure. But her words, all the attention to Ryan Bowling, who tonight, anyway, is pushing the buttons and making everything happen on the iRacing sim and continues to improve every week. We mentioned last week how this kind of got thrown at everybody in the situation. Everybody's done a great job to adapt and to learn and to get everything up to speed. And I got to say, Ryan has certainly been able to figure this out. For not being a sim guy or a video game guy, he has certainly figured it out. Now, we haven't put him on the racetrack yet. That might be next week's post-race entertainment. But just in case, Ryan, get yourself a wheel. We might have to have a media race or something in midges to see how pathetic you and I both are in one of these cars. At least I speak for myself. I'm not that good. Anyway, pace car's off. Cannon McIntosh and Trey Robb going to lead him down to the green flag. Ethan Bill, Darren Nada, Trey Gropp, Luke Howard, Rico Robles, and Brandon Shipley make up the field in this one. We've got him off-road, and that looked like Luke Howard, I think, down the inside, the 2 car. It's either him or Darren Nada. I think it was actually Nada in the bright yellow ride that went up and over the berm and just kept on trucking. Meanwhile, hello, Luke Howard sideways that time in turn 3. That's for 4th on back as they get all kinds of squirrely. But this fight for 2nd, it's a good one. Ethan Bill underneath of Trey Robb. Robb, the bright teal-colored car. Can't hardly miss that one whenever it gets all dusty here. Robb trying to make the middle and the outside work. Ethan Bill on the inside. The red, white, and black ride. These two, Nerf bar to Nerf bar. They continue to circulate here. Lap number 4 already in the books. And this might be one heck of a job for the transfer spot. Robb now able to steal it away. Or check that, able to lose it, I should say. Bill able to steal it away from Trey Robb. With a gap now between them. Bill, though, hops the inside berm. Forced Trey Robb to go a little bit higher, maybe not the lane he wanted. And if Robb's going to find his way back around to 2nd, he better hurry up. This time by, there are only 3 laps to go as the leader McIntosh encountered a little bit of traffic just a moment ago. That traffic, Brandon Shipley, currently being scored in the 8th spot. He has now gone 1 lap down to the leaders. 2nd and 3rd will encounter Shipley in the middle of the track. This might play a role in who makes their way into the A. Shipley's working the bottom. Ethan Bill trying to make the inside work. He'll dart underneath the O2 car. Not going to be a problem for him. Trey Robb doinks him in the tail tank. That's not going to work for him, but guess what? White flag is in the air for Cannon McIntosh. Up front, car 71. He is leading the race, and he's let it flag to claim heat race number 5. He'll get it over Trey Robb, Ethan Bill, Darren Nada. And look at that. Well, I misspoke. Ethan Bill did claim 2nd through all the chaos. So it is Bill and McIntosh making their way into tonight's A main event. Well, heat number 7 has been scratched, so this is a 6-heat evening, and that means there'll be maybe a couple of extras taken from the B main here this evening. That's good news if you're trying to race your way in. We'll get a full count on that once we get there a little bit later here in the program. So the final heat of the night on track, led to the green by Jeff Denny in the 7 car. Chase McDermott is in the 40. Stephen Sider is in the 29. The 9 is Will Armitage. The 41 is William Eslick. Ryan Timms, the 11. The 45 of Ben Varner. And Trevor Hallman in car number 1. And Trevor Hallman has already gone off on his lid. Front straightaway, he'll try to catch the field. As Trevor, there's a wall there. With a dirt berm, it tends to act like a ramp, my friend. Just careful, okay? Anyway, here we go. Green flag is out, and we are off and racing. Denny scored as the 7, the car marked as number 11, so if you're scoring at home, that's a little confusing, but keep that in mind. Jeff Denny scored as 7, his car, the bright yellow and orange car, number 11. He's got Chase McDermott, though, all up underneath him. Stephen Sider trying to slide it behind him as well. Will Armitage is there. Ryan Timms, all fighting 3rd, 4th, 5th on back. Relatively clean, however, as now you see this track again beginning to slick off even more than it was already. It's just now a matter of throttle control. Up on the outside wall on the cushion is Chase McDermott, and he is just sailing that thing. And he's found a little bit of grip. Maybe not a great deal, but he's found a little bit in here so far. Trying to chase down Jeff Denny last time by. He was about a 10th of a second slower than Denny. Same this time around. Now the car that's on the move is Ryan Timms. Timms, car 11, is back in position number 4. And every time, the last few times around the stripe anyway, he has been one of the fastest, if not the fastest car on track. That time by, I had to check up for a little bit of traffic there in front of him with McDermott and Armitage, but he has been rolling the inside, has Ryan Timms, and now the old announcer's curse. He starts to talk about it, he starts to feel the nerves apparently. Better he sees spotlights, I'm not sure which, as this race quickly winding down. You see 2 laps to go this time. That means time is running out to find a way up to and around Jeff Denny and or Chase McDermott. Armitage being scored as number 9 is the red and black number 7 car. So again, a little confusion there if you're watching at home, but that is Will Armitage, and he is going to be 1 spot short as Jeff Denny claims the heat race win over Chase McDermott. Again, both those drivers transfer. Armitage, Tim, Sider, Hallman, Eslick, and Varner all going to come through the alphabet soup. And get your spoons ready and pull out your napkins, because we are already pouring it into the bowl here at the Chili Bowl for E-Main time. 10 laps of racing. Top 4 advance through the alphabet soup to the next one up. And out of the B, they will take 8 drivers out of the B main. So with the field anticipated to be a little bit bigger, that's going to be a challenge. But guess what? If you can get your way into the B, you can get your way possibly into the A. Pretty generous showing of 8 cars being taken out of the B main here this evening. So the field is rolling, and here's how they'll roll down for the green flag here of the E main. Again, top 4 advance to the D, the adult main, as we called it a few weeks ago. Kind of stuck for that matter. Hunter Fisher is going to lead him down the 24. Trey Marcham is the 32. 8 is Riker Pace, Mason McGee, the 43, Brandon Shipley, Ben Varner, Bryson Smith, Blake Daniels, Rayboard, and McLaughlin, the 10 scheduled to run. 3 of them have missed the call in this one, so what was set to be a 10-car event is now a 7-car race. So finish in the top half of this one, and you might have something. Problem is one guy already in the fence further back, and that was Ben Varner, so it looks like his E-main may be already over. But up front, top 3, they are side by side. Trey Marcham in the middle of that one. Riker Pace, Mason McGee, all right there as they fight for real estate. Leader, Trey Marcham. Off the turn number 1, you see him start to pick up that left front just a wee little bit. Contact now with Mason McGee, who slides into the lead. Marcham, we mentioned a couple weeks ago, contact again. That car got tight down the berm. He can keep it rolling. He's still in a transferring position, and yes, he is back and forth now. We mentioned how Marcham has had some success here at the Tulsa Shootout. He's certainly venturing his way. In fact, he was a former late model stock car competitor over in the Carolinas for a season or two. And the old UARA Stars late model tour out in the Carolinas has now kind of been replaced by what's known as the Cars Tour out there. So he's got a little bit of experience everywhere in the country, different types of cars, but certainly struggling with the iRacing, but he's done a good job to pick it up the last few weeks. Of course, we say that. Now he's bouncing off a couple of walls, in danger of not transferring. In fact, now one other car left on track, and that's Ben Varner, who is also having some issues here this evening. So those guys can make it on up, they'll transfer the D main. Otherwise, this one's pretty clean and green, and that's got to be good news for everyone else. You can simply keep the thing in one piece and keep it between the walls. You're going to be in pretty decent shape to move on up to the D main. So essentially, this is a 10-lap practice session for all these drivers, exception maybe Ben Marner, who had that issue at the outset over in turn number 1. Mason McGee, just listen to that car. Listen to him baby the throttle. He's not full throttle at all, just easing into it. Try not to spin the tires, but he is going to baby that thing off turn 4 and into P1, the E main. He'll transfer into the D, as will the rest of the drivers running, exception of 5th place Ben Varner, Rayburn, Smith, Fisher, Daniels, McLaughlin, all, if they hadn't already, going to have to load it on the virtual trailer here this evening. So top 4, virtually a paid practice, if you will, for the E main. The D main, on the other hand, they might have a little bit more work to do. 12 cars strong in this one. Again, top 4 advance to the C. Well, the virtual water truck has been out, and with literally the push of a button, they have tilled and turned and watered the racetrack, and there is a bunch of moisture back in it yet again. Luke Howard going to be the first one to encounter it at speed, as he'll lead him off on the pole. Will Armitage is second. Quentin Sam, Sam Johnson, Anthony Jacina, they'll be the top 5 as they come down. Bryant Wiedemann starts 6th. Darren Natus 7th. William Eslick 8th. Then our 4 transferees, McGee, Pace, Shipley, and Marcham, can make up the final 2 rows of this 6-row contest. The D main, 12 laps in distance, and they're already doinking bumpers and bending bars, and who knows what they're doing back there. They'll get it figured out one way or the other, I suppose. Pace car's off. Ain't got much of a choice because green flag is out, and we're off and racing. Howard brought him down rather slowly, and that might cost him. Remember, top 4 transfer, not the top 2 as in earlier. Top 4 transfer into the next event. Wiedemann is already up to 2nd. Behind him, it is Howard and Johnson going at it. Those top 4 have a little bit of a gap. Back to a new 5th place runner, Mason McGee. Remember, McGee already through that E main. He's got a head of steam, and he is coming like a bat out of a dark place in the earth. Up front, Armitage shows the way. Wiedemann closing in for that race lead with the transfer spot. It also is brewing. Fantastic racing. Contact for the race lead now. Wiedemann gets around Armitage. Armitage, after the slide job, trying to look back on the crossover maneuver. Thinks about putting a slider on Wiedemann. Thought better of it. And look at this. Wiedemann up to the point. Armitage 2nd. McGee now into 3rd. He's got a chance to move on to the C main. And Luke Howard, who started on pole, is on the bubble. Position number 4 for the iRacing number 2 special. So top 4 pretty much solidified at this juncture. But up front, Wiedemann and Armitage continuing to fight it out. Whoa! Wiedemann jumped the berm, and that thing bicycled. He just about went over. What a save by Bryant Wiedemann. Mentioned earlier, the fresh signee, the ink's barely dry on the contract. Keith Kuntz Motorsports. He now doing some wheelies and all kinds of stuff, trying to find a way up to and around Will Armitage, the new leader. Calm down, Bryant. You're in the show. Don't do anything crazy. This time by 2 laps to go. Armitage may encounter just a wee little bit of traffic in this one. It's going to be very close if he does. Brandon Shipley and Darren Nader, the ones immediately in front of him, but with 1 lap to go, looks like it's going to be minor, if at all. Armitage over Wiedemann. McGee is now up to 3rd, and Luke Howard back in position number 4. Those will be the top 4, and they will transfer on to the C main with the checkered flag. Jacina, Sams, Nader, Shipley, and others all done for the night. They'll take it back behind the grandstands, load her up, grab themselves a Heather Stage, a Jello shot, or 6, and see just how well they can play in tonight's drinking game. Anytime we use the term slide job, you are permitted to go take a, well, not really a drink, I guess. What is that? Like, do you I guess you pop a Jello shot, right? Is that what you call a pop? I mean, a tongue, a lick. I don't know. Everybody does them differently. I don't know. Just take a shot. Whatever your beverage choice is. It could be a Coke. It could be a whiskey. It could be a bourbon. It could be a Jello shot. We really don't care. It's all about having fun here tonight at the Chili Bowl in the POWRi Midget iRacing League. 14 cars set to roll off here in this C main. 14 laps. Top 4 transfer to tonight's B main. Here's how they'll come down to the flag. Hernandez, Anton is going to lead them. Cody Williams, outside of him, is Chris Townsend and Cody Barnes. Rico Robles and Trevor Hallman make up row number 3. Ethan Mitchell and Dalton Bishop are behind them. Jake Erickson and Merrill Lamb are the next pair. The 4 transferees from the D main at the tail, including Will Armitage, Brian Weedham, and Mason McGee, and Luke Howard. 14 laps, 14 cars, only 4 transfer into the B main. There it is. Green flag is out. And already they are racing hot and heavy at the tail of the field. A couple of drivers got taken out, including Mason McGee and everybody in the last 2 rows. So it looks like we will likely not see anyone transfer from the C main, or excuse me, from the D main into the B. Still a lot of things could happen. We're not going to rule anything completely out, but look at this now. Fight for second. Chris Townsend in a fight with Cody Williams. Townsend, the white and blue car. Williams, the purple and orange car, and the black up on the outside. Behind them, final transfer spot, Rico Robles in the black 36 immediately behind him. Those are the 4 that everyone has their eyes set on. You see as we continue to make our way through the soup, that the drivers, the teams continue to get stronger. The field starting to tighten up every single time, and now we've got to fight for the transfer spot. Ethan Mitchell, love nothing more to take that red and white, number 19, into the A main, and car stopped on track and nearly gave him the opportunity. Continuing to watch now. Again, this is the fight for the transfer spot. Ethan Mitchell trying to find his way to position number 4. That's all he needs. One more spot. Meanwhile, up front, lead change. Cody Williams around the 5 of Anton Hernandez. Hernandez back to second, and that's still a qualifying spot. Rico Robles now being shown in the second position. Has not been a good couple of laps here for, well, anybody up front for that matter. Anton Hernandez, he's now being scored in the 9th spot. So not a good lap or 2 for him. He must have warped across the line or something to unfortunately put him a lap in arrears. And what we mean by warp across the line is if you have think of it like a crazy transponder issue, but your internet basically dips out at your house and doesn't record you crossing the line. If that happens, unfortunately, you get some bad juju, if you will, and that appears to have happened to the 5 of Anton Hernandez. So very tough break for him. Is second on track, but still being scored 1 lap in arrears. So that means Williams, Robles, Townsend, Mitchell. Well, guess what? They are in the top 4 as the white flag is out. Robles gets around Hernandez, and I don't even think Hernandez realizes he's a lap down at this point. Checkers are out. Cody Williams will transfer to the B. Robles, Mitchell, and waiting for scoring to confirm. 4th spot now, I think, stand by, yes, will be Cody Barnes. So those are the 4 that'll transfer into the B main, and fresh off, who knows where he was at. Glad to have Chase Rodman back with us here for the second half of this one. Fun, nice of you to join us while you're still sober. We're about 12 Jello shots in.
Oh, can you hear me? Hello, you got me?
Yeah, I'm not that drunk yet. I promise.
Okay,
I hope
just
our
wanted to make
fans
sure.
might be, but I'm not.
I didn't get a mic check here, but man, I just watched the end of that one there, Tony. Cody Barnes and Christopher Townsend were driving through the infield trying to get back to the line for the final transfer. I think I came at the right time. This is going to be fun stuff as we get ready for this B main. Sorry, I was a little bit later than normal tonight, but I'm glad to be here with you, Tony. It's always fun doing these POWRi races with you.
Yeah, certainly fun. Now, if you missed it, we added some fun into this.
Oh,
Anytime we use the term slide job, Heather Staza, one of the producers from the Chili Bowl broadcast back in January, she'll be making a lot of the love on POWRi TV this year. She's famous for her Jello shots. Anytime we use the term slide job, uh, everybody has to take a Jello shot. So that's why we might not be sober at the end of this one. 16 cars, by the way, Chase, in the B main, half the field going to the A. So all you got to be is in the top 8 of this one. It's Dalby, Trainer, Sarf, Smith, and Robb, top 5. Then it's Timms, Gray, Newman, Brandon, and Love, the top 10. Grop Sider, Williams, Robles, Mitchell, and Barnes going to come down to the green flag. 16 laps, 16 cars, top 8 the target chase as we get set to roll.
what can go wrong here, Tony? This track is pretty small. We've got 16 competitors out on the racetrack, and leading the field down the backstretch on lap 1 is Robert Dalby in the car number 4, followed by Jake Trainer, Carter Sarf. Oh, bouncing off the wall behind Sarf is Jake Smith. He gathers it back in. They're 3 wide down into turn number 1.
3 wide, and again, the fields continue to get more and more competitive as we move our way up the alphabet. Really not a surprise. That's the way it's supposed to be, but I think a lot of people are very surprised by just how authentic the iRacing simulation can be in that regard. And yeah, these guys are pretty doggone good. Everybody continuing to circulate. We haven't seen a lot of chaos like we've seen earlier in this one. In fact, there's about 9 cars under a blanket looking for 8 spots, maybe even more as they continue to fight further back for a transfer spot. 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, they're all right there in that one with Trey, Robb, Jake Smith, Newman, Gray, Brent. Oh, one up and over. And didn't see who that was. That's problems for that driver.
That was big time down to the corner. I don't know who that was. He hit the infield berm and did a couple of cartwheels up into the catch fence, but that moves Jake Smith up to the 6th position, and he's not really contested at the moment. He was there for a moment, contested by Jake Newman and Blake Brandon, but now that number 28 car has gotten away from those guys and is pulling away just a little bit. Actually, I forgot we're taking the top 8, so Newman's in and Brandon are both in. The 9th place car of Williams from the C main trying to get by him. Oh, Newman up the track there into the wall, and there goes Williams into a transfer.
Yeah, a little bit of bumper tag, and guys, cars starting to get tight. Again, we talked about how the track's already drying out, getting used up. It's traditionally dry, slick at the end of the race here anyway. And hard pack for sure. Big problems front straightaway. Brandon is in it, as are a number of others come sliding in, and that's going to change all of our transferring drivers. Chase, looks like Williams and Grop are now in, and Jesse Love is 1 spot out of a transfer.
There goes Jake Smith. He just wrecked and collects Jesse Love. So, man, things happen. Oh, and there's Trey Robb. He backs down the track. Is this the demo derby? I can't tell. They're still wrecking on the back straightaway, Tony. Trey Robb just got hit by every car in the field, including the race leader, Robert Dalby.
Yeah, it's been an interesting couple of laps as we close in. It'll be 5 laps to go this time. Dalby out front, usually the safest place to be, but maybe not. Actually, I take that back. It's going to be 4 laps to go as he crossed the stripe, complete lap number 12. So now Dalby, Trainer, Sarf, Timms, Grop, Williams, Love, and Sider, they are all in the show. Ethan Mitchell and Cody Barnes, the first 2 on the outside looking in. And these guys are so spread out, it's hard to keep track of what in the world's going on, Chase. They are everywhere racing hard here at the Chili Bowl.
You said it might be safe being up front, but I think here at the Chili Bowl, you're not safe anywhere, especially on a long green flag run like this, and everybody's spread out and racing hard. So a guy like Robert Dalby, his night could come to an end here in the B main, just being out front and getting into lap traffic this time by. He'll come down to the white flag. Robert Dalby with a pretty good lead now, almost 2 seconds over Carter Sarf. And there goes Dalby across the line to the white flag one more time as he comes up the back of Cody Barnes. Oh, it is over?
It's over. 16 laps. She's done for.
Oh man, are you sure? I think now it's over. Yeah, you're right. Okay, you know what, Tony? Maybe I did have a couple Jello shots for this one. All right.
You're not the first person to make that mistake here. I promise you. Hey, at least you didn't. At least you didn't call him off a lap early, right?
True. That is true. But man, I came here at just the right time. I'll tell you what. Feature time is coming up for this race tonight. 50 laps. We're getting the warm-up session underway right now, Tony. And from what I've seen here in the 5 minutes that I've been here, this should be pretty exciting nonetheless.
It certainly will be. And again, a smaller field in the feature compared to what we've had in weeks prior, but it's going to be a pretty doggone interesting start in the feature. I mean, I think we're starting. Let me do the math here. We took 8 from there, 4 from 6, or 2 from 6 heats, 12. It's a 20 car feature, and that's a lot of cars here at the Chili Bowl.
Oh, dude, that's a ton of race cars. This is going to be absolutely insane. But how about this, Tony? The last, 2 or 3 weeks that I've been here with you, it's been all Brennan Rogers leading these races and winning them, leading every lap. But tonight, the roles are reversed. It's the guy that's finished second to him at least the last 2 weeks. Dason Persley will lead this field to green, and Rogers will start third. So this is going to be an absolute dogfight between those two. They've been going at it tooth and nail the last couple weeks.
Yeah, they certainly have. And in fact, Rogers leading the points coming into tonight. Axum and Persley, second and third, and Aiden Purdue actually tied for third with Dason Persley. Robert Dalby, 8 points out of the lead. And the next closest competitor, 16 points down from Dalby. So top 5 have certainly separated themselves as far as the points are concerned, but who cares about points? Well, it's like, whose line is it anyway? Where it's all about the racing and the points don't matter, right?
Sometimes you come up with some really good stuff on the fly. And you know what? Who's Line It Anyway? That was one of my favorite shows back in the day before they switched it over to that UK
They're
version
probably
or
going to be
whatever.
debating over that tonight. It'll be a deal of whose line was it anyway, getting into turn 1 or turn 3.
Yes, that is definitely a thing that could happen here tonight. But these guys really working this racetrack in. I think we just had a little bit of a track reset, if I'm not mistaken. I might be actually mistaken. I don't know. But
Yeah, the old water truck came out. We
yeah,
tilled her up. We watered her down. Oh, yeah.
Tony Stewart came out on the old tractor and tilled her up a little bit here, getting ready for this feature event. I'm not sure what's going on here in the sim, but I see a bunch of guys leaving the server. Is there something going on here that I'm not knowing about?
That's a good question.
That's a really good question. Everyone's getting out of here. Maybe they're having some kind of meetup or something. I don't know. There's only 2 minutes left before we grid up for the feature, so I think we might be out of the loop here.
Well, sounds like we're going to have to take a bit of a break here, Chase, and figure out some filler time. So here's what happened to kind of explain to folks what's going on. You mentioned it there. With iRacing, you have a fixed setup. Now, that fixed setup is essentially what makes it all about the driver. You don't have to worry about a guy finding some deal. And I'm sure the purists of competition will tell you, oh yeah, you want to make that setup. We going to be able to find that edge, and that's true in a real car for certain. But here in iRacing, everybody's got enough problems as it is getting around the racetrack in some cases. So the fixed setup tonight, essentially, it sounds like the crew chief, aka the race control guys, may have forgot to put enough fuel in the car to make the distance. And we all know, Chase, that fuel is kind of imperative to one of these things.
Yeah, I think you have to have fuel to make it around the racetrack, and you need enough fuel to make it the 50-lap distance here tonight at the Chili Bowl inside the Tulsa Expo Center here. So, yeah, I don't know who messed that up, but hopefully we can get it all figured out as we are moving over to a different server now. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow the host of this server to put more fuel in the setup that these guys are running, and then they will be able to make it the distance. But you know what, Tony? I think that maybe with how this race is going, I'm sure we're going to have quite a few cautions just because it's so compact at this track that maybe they could have made it on fuel with enough caution laps.
Anything is possible, but you know what?
I want to take the chance.
Uh, yeah, you don't want to take that chance for sure. So we might have to take a bit of a break here and pause while all of us change buildings, so to speak, and move to the other Chili Bowl. You didn't know there was a second one, did you?
Oh, I did not. Is that still in Tulsa, or is that somewhere up the road, like Broken Arrow or something?
I, I don't know if it's in Tulsa or not, but it's at least in iRacing for sure.
Oh, okay,
So
perfect.
we can go to the chicken joint and grab some food or do something like that. And run to the refreshment stand, grab us something to eat, and you know what? That's probably worth it, right? At least grab a piece of pizza or something.
going to walk down the road to the Panda Express. You know, that's only about 500 feet away from the Tulsa Expo Center. Get me some orange chicken and some fried rice and come back.
Sounds like a winner. Be right back here, and don't go away. Our broadcast won't. You might see some goofy stuff, but don't go away. I'll be right back here on POWRi TV for the feature event for the POWRi Racing iRacing League. Be back yet? So cars are back on track. And that was a quick trek across Tulsa to the other Tulsa Expo Center. You didn't know there was another Tulsa Expo Center until now. Yeah, you didn't know how fast they could load up a virtual midget and take it across town until now. That's one of the beauties of iRacing. When the crew chief forgets to put fuel in the car, although in this case the crew chief is race control, there is a way to essentially hit the reset button. And basically what happened, Chase, was they ran through the alphabet soup in the heats because the setup had enough fuel that could easily get through those races. But a 50-lap feature, there was a lot of question if it can make it. So they went ahead and set the lineup, made sure they knew who was able to race and where they were going to start. And they're going to, what we call in the sim, manually set the lineup. Although, as far as everybody watching is concerned, it'll be the same the lineup would have been through the heats and everything that we saw just a little bit ago.
That's a good thing that iRacing just actually implemented that not very long ago. Actually, kind of when dirt racing came out, they implemented that deal where you can set the lineup manually, put guys where they should be at, and so just got to kind of copy that lineup that we had set for the other server that we were in. But you know what? I've seen crazy stuff happen at the real-life Chili Bowl. I've been there for the last 7 or 8 years now, and I'm not surprised to see crazy stuff happen here at the virtual Chili Bowl as well, Tony, as every driver was not going to have enough fuel to make it 50 laps in the last race. But you know what? It's the Chili Bowl, man. Things happen, crazy things happen, and hopefully we'll see a great race after all this is said and done.
Yeah, hopefully so. It looks like about 23 of the 24 car, or actually, if I could count, that would help. It looks like we've got about 23 cars that have parked the virtual haulers to re-unload their race cars. So should be pretty close. Perhaps a couple of alternates that also made their way in. But we fully anticipate cars being on track for racing sooner rather than later. And I got to give a call out to a lot of the, in real life, we call them the wrap guys, right? We call them the decal guys. And you know what? Those guys do a great job in real life. And this is not to take away from what they do. But for a lot of these virtual wrap guys, the painters, as they've been called, they do a fantastic job replicating, in many cases, the actual midgets many of these competitors run in real life, or creating brand new ones. I mean, some of the artistic talent on iRacing for car designs is just phenomenal, and a lot of the mainstream race organizations are starting to see that because they're starting to tab these guys to design their actual race cars.
You know, a perfect example would have to be JD Laird with JDR Graphics. Got his start on iRacing.com, and then he's the guy, I believe he's the guy that designed one of Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s NASCAR Cup Series cars back in the day. So, and JD does a ton of paints on iRacing as well. He does a lot of paints for the guys in the NASCAR Pro Series along with the World of Outlaws Pro Series. So, like you mentioned there, Tony, so many guys make money and get a lot of, a big portfolio of different cars and different paint schemes and stuff like that for all the different cars on the iRacing sim. And we use a great feature called tradingpaints.com, where you can just go on there, you like a paint scheme, you click 2 buttons, and sure enough, you're racing it in the next race. You could be Sammy Swindell, you could be Steve Kinzer, heck, you could be Juan Pablo Montoya if you want to in the next race. If you just want to go in there and, if you have Photoshop, you can make your own paint scheme, and that's what a lot of these guys do. But as you mentioned there, Tony, a lot of guys, they ask other people, paying $5, and they get their own paint scheme. Maybe their real-life car will get on their virtual car as well.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's a wide gamut of market. I mean, some of the guys are relatively inexpensive. Of course, the pros, if you will, have a little bit higher price tag, but you'll have that whenever you've got somebody with that much attention to detail. And certainly some of the attention to detail I've seen is just phenomenal, whether it's painting the Zeus fasters on the body panels in the right place, or just all kinds of crazy stuff like that. It's really amazing the extremes some of these people will go to authenticate and replicate these virtual race cars to make them as accurate as they can down to every single last detail. And that's one of and even the suits and the helmets for that matter too, Chase. I mean, guys are able to paint their actual helmets and their suits. I mean, this is really, the people at iRacing do a great job of trying to make it, in their words, as real as they can and incorporate every element that you would have at any given racetrack on a given situation into the sim. And that's why they allow you to, on a wing sprint car, for instance, you can move the wing back and forth, and you can change tilt and angle and all the setup adjustments. But even something as simple as being in the car and able to do that and have it react accordingly. I mean, they try to replicate every little thing, down to the head movements of the driver whenever they're on track.
And that's why they call it the Premier Online Simulation. These guys are paying, we're paying $13 a month to be on this service, and it is probably the easiest $13 that I spend every single month. You know what, Tony? I probably spend a little bit too much money using the $13 a month thing when, I could probably spend about, what, 70 for the entire year, but I choose to spend 120 for some reason. But I mean, the attention to detail on every car, every track, the way that the dirt moves around on the racetrack, as you mentioned it, the way that the wing moves forward and backward on the sprint cars, the brake bias and different things like that, all the setup adjustments you could do. Every part of these race cars is adjustable in the setup garage. Everything is so customizable in this sim. And one thing that they just need to do next, Tony, is they need to do like different body styles and stuff for these dirt cars. Like, have some like where you can take out the left side door and kind of see the guys working with their, working the steering wheel and stuff like that. They have no door on the sprint cars. They have doors, as you can see on the midget, but maybe some different body styles in the future would be a cool thing. But just the attention to detail that the guys at iRacing.com do is actually, it's just unbelievable. It's second to none, really.
Yeah, it really is. And again, you mentioned it's an inexpensive service. We would encourage anybody to go get hooked up. And I know some people see these huge sim rigs as they're called. You don't got to have that kind of cash invested in this deal. I mean, even me personally, I'm sitting here looking at a wheel I bought, heck, 5 or 6 years ago. I spent, I think, $250 on it. It has been fantastic. And there's a bunch of them out there. Some are better than others, of course, depending on your price point, what you want to spend. But I got a $250 wheel. I've got a desk and a single monitor and a machine that I built about 9 years ago, still humming right along, and that's what I've got to run this deal. So you don't need thousands of dollars to invest in a rig. You can race on your normal monitor, or if you have VR or whatever it is, you can race on pretty much any setup that you have. And we would encourage you to do so, because ultimately at some point in the winter, it's going to snow or it's going to rain, and you're not going to be able to get to the actual racetrack. It's not quite as real. You can't smell the methanol. You can't get the beer or the dirt out of your beer, your chicken sandwich, or whatever. But you can at least race, and that's ultimately all that matters. And we would encourage folks that are watching to pick it up and give it a shot. It's not easy. It's not something you're going to pick up and just jump in and be like, oh, yeah, I'm fast. It takes some discipline. It takes some time to get good at iRacing, just as it would any other type of race car or race vehicle you would hop into. Very rarely do you see a guy hop into a midget and just go set the world on fire, and it's the same thing here.
And we're not getting paid by iRacing to say this, Tony. We are just diehard guys. I mean, I don't know how long you've been on the service. I've been on it for, I think, 7, maybe 8 years now. We're just passionate guys. We love the sim. We've been around before dirt was even a thing. It was only pavement stuff for a long, long time on this, and we were still around supporting iRacing and waiting for the day that the dirt stuff came out, and sure enough, it did. Back in 2017, I think. And ever since then, man, they've gained so much more traction. So many more members are on. Heck, there's 15,000 people on the iRacing website right now. And, 6 months ago, Tony, there'd probably be about 5,000 online right now. And we got triple that with all the success and all the craziness that's been going on lately.
Exactly. As the field, speaking of craziness, is about ready to unleash it with the green flag. 1 lap from now, Tiernan, Purdue, Persley, Rogers, and Bill are your top 5. Axum, Hallman, Sarf, Dalby, and Denny going to be the top 10. Wolf, Bruno, McDermott, Love, and Gropp are the next 5-some. And we are racing. Green flag is, well, out. It was set to be out. Looks like they need to rearrange the lineup. That might be what they're going to do.
I believe Dason Persley was supposed to be on the pole this, and they might have messed up a little bit with the starting lineup. So there goes Persley. He'll take over that front row position, and Brennan Rogers right behind him. James Tiernan to the outside. So a little bit of a mess up there in the lineup. It's going to take away a couple laps here, but not too big of a deal here, I don't think, Tony. These guys will get it figured out, and we'll still have a great race.
Yeah, we will have a race here momentarily, and, sometimes things happen, and that's just kind of what you do. You make the best of the situation, just like we're doing in the world now. You make the best of the situation you're given. You can't race a physical car in a lot of places in the country, so race a virtual car. That's what we're getting ready to do. And I think the field is pretty close to lined up, so would not be surprised if we don't go green, not this time, but maybe next time around.
I think next time around would definitely be an option here. I think everybody's got their proper starting place here. As I'm looking back through the field, everybody's double file. Nobody's really jockeying for position here under caution. So should go green. I see the race control guys talking to the field right now. And I see these guys getting a little bit more bunched up. So hopefully we see the green flag right here off turn number 4. And not yet.
Maybe next time around. Everybody's pretty close to lined up, looks like. So What was going to be a 50-lap feature is now going to be a 45-lap feature, it appears, but I don't think anybody's going to complain, and that means we'll be going racing here very soon.
James Kiernan just hit the wall on the backstretch. Hopefully that wasn't coming to green right there, as he might have made some damage, and we are going green.
He did that in the heat race earlier and still had a shot to win and did win the thing, so maybe it's good luck for Tiernan. Oh, we've got one around. I think Tiernan's in it.
Tiernan
over in turn number 2.
He didn't make it too far there after hitting the wall, and he's all the way at the back of the field after starting on the outside of the front row. Tiernan's going to be way back in 20th position now, or what is it, 20 or 24? 23. He's going to be in 23rd after that accident right there. And we've got another one upside down. That looks like Brian Bennett, and his night will come to an end after one lap.
Yeah, that's not a good thing whenever you have a turn 1 incident like that. And it's obviously Tiernan going to come into the attention of the crew and get the thing looked at, see if any repairs can be affected. And he'll pull back out on the racing surface. But yeah, tough break for Bennett. That was not the way you want to start your race. You're already getting worked up and everything kind of happens. And then you're back, okay, I got this. And turn 1, nowhere to go. That's never a good feeling.
You definitely don't want to start your race upside down. That's definitely for sure. Here comes the pace truck into the infield. We're working on lap 9. It'll be lap 10 when we come across the line. 40 to go here at the Chili Bowl here for the POWRi West iRacing Midget League. We are back to green, and Dason Persley will take the lead in turn 1, followed by Rogers. He's challenged on the inside by Ken McIntosh.
McIntosh looks like he'll claim position number 2 as they cross the stripe that time. Aiden Purdue's down there in that black and multicolored car, trying to make something happen. And behind him, a couple of guys sliding around, getting doinked up, but we will stay green. Top 5 now have a little bit of buffer room, and that, well, maybe not. Caution is out yet again here at the completion of lap number 12, as we've got 2 or 3 of them upside down. I didn't keep a flip count tonight. Maybe I should have.
Did you say doinked up? Because I love that. I love getting doinked up there.
Whoa!
That was fantastic. What just happened there under yellow?
Pace truck just went and jumped the Jersey barrier. I didn't realize they had off-road trucks as pace cars, but apparently they do. I don't know if we caught that on the video, but pace trucks decided it wanted to go four-wheeling over the Jersey barrier, man.
Can't wait till they find out who actually drives the iRacing pace truck, because he is the wildest driver. I don't know if you've ever seen him at Lernerville. He literally jumps onto the racetrack off of turn 4, like catches like 10 feet in air, and then paces the field, man. The guy driving that thing is absolutely out of control.
Well, I mean, have you looked at the hiring process for the iRacing pace car recently?
I haven't, actually, no.
Well, let's just put it this way. Neither you nor I are crazy enough to be that guy. There's only a select, 3 beings in the world, and half of them have to be kept in padded rooms. So I'm not sure how they figured it out. But either way, we are going racing. Quick 3-lap caution. Lap number 15 is complete. And look at this. Fight for third. And they've got them tangled up and on top of one another. And at least one. That's Aiden Purdue, I believe, who is upside down in the back.
Yeah,
a couple others sliding in.
Yeah, we just had 3 cars get on the lid right there. It started off at turn 2 when Brennan Rogers got hit from behind by Aiden Purdue, and then it was just a huge stack up all the way down the backstretch, and then they got to turn 3 and piled them up and flipped over at least 3 cars. Purdue was one of them, and several other cars getting upside down as well. So not the best. Flag laps, we should see something up front.
Yeah, not the best way to start your lap, but race control has now told drivers and forced drivers that, yeah, enough of your shenanigans, boys. We're going single file. So if you were further back in the field looking to get a jump, you now have just essentially doubled your workload. The field could be strung out here, all 18 cars that are still on track. That's a pretty long line of cars as the green flag is out. And let's see if we can get a lap in here, Chase.
We'll see what Cannon McIntosh can do. He was a winner at the real-life Chili Bowl Nationals on a prelim night here in 2020 as he looks to track down his Keith Coons Motorsports teammate in real life. That is Dason Persley. Third spot is Jaden Wolf, followed by Brennan Rogers and Jeffrey Denny rounding out the top 5. Rogers has been knocked around. He's gotten his cage rattled a couple times throughout this race, and he's looking to get back up here into the top 3.
Certainly is. Oh, contact up front with Cannon McIntosh and others. and that will bring out the yellow flag. That one happened very quickly. That allowed Jeff Denny to move his way back to third, but I think that was actually Brendan Rogers that caught a piece of Cannon McIntosh. That now has set him back outside the top 12. And one car here that is on his lid at the start-finish line. That's usually not a good thing either.
Definitely not, but I think Brendan Rogers might have called it quits right there, Tony. I think he took the steering wheel off the desk and threw it out the window because he was stopped on the racetrack, and next thing you knew, he was gone. So Brendan not too happy about his progress tonight, as that is Carter Sarf that is on the lid. I'm not really sure what he's expecting to happen right there down on the inside of the racetrack. Maybe he's hoping for somebody to come blowing through the infield, knock him back on all four wheels, but I don't really see that happening here.
No, I really don't either. Is the pace truck already back to the infield? We don't waste a lot of time here. Crossing the halfway point in this one, 25 laps to go. And we're racing yet again. Dason Pursley proving that track position is king here at the Chili Bowl, that you've got to be up front if you want to have a shot to win this. It gets harder and harder to pass as you go through the night. And look at this behind him now. McIntosh and Denny starting to fight up top. Denny in that orange and black car. Cannon McIntosh, the black and red number 71, the Keith Kuntz-esque car. Well, they're having a great fight now for P2.
Jeffrey Denny working about a lane lower than Cannon McIntosh right now for that second spot behind those guys waiting in the wings. It is the 24th Jaden Wolf, so kind of a three-car scrap for the second spot as McIntosh is starting to slide himself down into the corner. He drives it down on the bottom of the racetrack, entering the corner, and slides it up to the cushion on the exit, and that's allowing him to keep a lot of momentum around this racetrack right now, and Jeffrey Denny not able to get by him.
Denny this time going to think about the bottom. Couldn't get the forward drive off of turn number 2. So he's lacking bite in the backside of his number 8 car. So hopefully they get all of that sorted out before it's said and done, as Denny now back up top, trying again to make something happen. Just not having the best of luck right now, finding a way around Cannon McIntosh. He's roughly as fast, if not faster, than McIntosh and Pursley have been the last few laps. In fact, these 3 fastest on track, but Denny just can't seem to find a way around McIntosh to maybe have a shot at the lead.
Denny's been the fastest of those 2 guys in front of him the last 2 laps. Denny's about half a tenth better than Dason Pursley. Pursley struggling with the handling of that race car, and McIntosh and Denny both closing in on him. We've only got 15 laps to go this time by the stripe, so we're coming down to the bewitching hours of this race, and McIntosh, here comes Denny looking to the inside. McIntosh will block the line away from him.
Oh, great job there by McIntosh to do just that. Denny had to regroup, and yes, Pursley a couple of slower laps now. I'm not sure if that one lap was a mistake or what. That's a rare mistake from Dason Pursley. It does happen, but you don't see him very often, and as long as these 2 are breathing down his neck, their possibility exists for more. And don't look now, but there is tons of traffic in front of Dason Pursley, about 4 or 5 cars strong, and they are certainly going to get to at least some of it before the checker flag waves.
Now seems like Cannon McIntosh might be the best car inside the top 3. Almost gets into the back of Dason Pursley right there, getting into turns 1 and 2. And as you mentioned right there, Tony, looming ahead is the lap traffic, and it's about 5 or 6 cars strong, as we've got 10 laps to go next time by, and McIntosh looking to make a move on his Keith Kunz Motorsports teammate, and here comes Denny back into the fight. Contact for second. They hang on to it, but lose a ton of ground to Pursley up front.
Jaden Wolf comes in there now like a house of fire. He wants P3 underneath of Jeff Denny. Denny says, where the heck did you come from? If Pursley turned his head, he probably saw it and said, okay, that's exactly what I need. Now inside of 10 laps to go as Wolf bypasses Denny, and Wolf now is on a podium spot as they work their way out of 4.
Wolf is making the bottom of the racetrack work, with something we haven't really seen this entire feature event, Tony. Right around the inside hub, Jaden Wolf takes over third and is coming after Cannon McIntosh. Let's take, caution's coming out here with less than 10 laps to go.
Yes, caution is out as there are problems on track. Everybody gets righted, but that means Dason Pursley now is going to have to endure about a 3-lap caution run and then maybe a 3 to 4 lap dash to the finish. It's going to get good very quickly. The good news for him, he's going to have clean racetrack to settle it, assuming nothing happens at the tail of the field.
I'm really interested to see here what Cannon McIntosh does on the restart. He knows he's got to go. I think he's just as fast as Pursley, but it's so hard to pass somebody here when they're doing the line that Pursley is. He's driving it on the bottom of the racetrack and slides it up on the exit. So you can't drive underneath him on the inside of the corner, and you can't drive around him on the exit of the corner. So you kind of just got to pray for a mistake as the pace truck pulls off. We're going to have 5 laps to go when we go green here, Tony.
Yes, conclusion of lap number 45. 5 laps to go in this one. Dason Pursley's got free and clear racetrack. He sails it on the bottom. Denny tries to rim right up top, but Jaden Wolf still committed to the inside berm, looking for a way around Cannon McIntosh. He might have him this time at 1 and 2.
Oh, Jaden Wolf is absolutely rolling the bottom right now. He's got second down the back straightaway, but I don't think he's got enough time. Now look at Pursley, Tony. He sees what's going on behind him and drops his number 9 car down to the inside. So Wolf found it first. Pursley slides himself in 1 and 2, and down the back stretch they go. There goes Jaden Wolf. Does he have anything left for him here in the last 2 laps?
He better try and try quickly. 2 laps to go for Pursley, Wolf, McIntosh and company. Pursley goes back up top. He must not have liked the bottom, at least in 1 and 2. Slides wide up near the cushion. White flag is in the air. Can Pursley hold off the advances of Wolf?
Wolf around the inside line. He's going to pull up next to him off of turn number 2. Down the back straightaway. Pursley going to block the line. It's going to be a drag race to the stripe off of turn 4, but it's going to be Pursley by a car at the line. Dason Pursley wins tonight at the Chili Bowl with the Lucas Oil POWRi Midget League here on iRacing.com. What a finish and what a drive by Jaden Wolf. He loses by just 1/10 of a second at the line over Jeffrey Denny, Cannon McIntosh, and Ethan Bill.
Well, I don't think we could ask for a much better race than that, Chase. That was quintessential midget racing at a short little bull ring like the Chili Bowl. I don't think there's anybody that didn't like that one, unless maybe you're a Jaden Wolf fan.
And Jaden Wolf, that was actually impressive right there. He was going at it with 2 of the rising midget stars in real life, and right there he just absolutely rolled himself some hot bottom for the last 10 laps or so, Tony, and nearly Chinooker Dason Pursley on the last corner. He made a fan out of me. I'm going to need a Jaden Wolf t-shirt after that run right there. That was impressive stuff.
So is that a virtual t-shirt or an actual t-shirt?
I want a real one. Give me a real one, a 2X, because I'm a little bit of a taller guy, and an XL does not go all the way down to the top of my shorts, so I need a 2X. Jaden Wolf, get a hold of me.
I don't want to picture you showing midriff, Chase. I'm sorry. We try to be generally family-friendly, but that's an image that our audience now will have burned on their brain for the rest of their lives.
I'm sorry, buddy.
And yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I don't want to think about it. What I will think about, however, is talking to the guy that just won that race, and that's Dason Pursley. Did you have any idea there was any grip on the bottom, Dason, when the final few laps to where you're going to have to race a guy trying to come up on the inside?
I did not. I wasn't really paying attention to my mirror when we got into lap traffic, and then I was in Discord with Cannon, and he said a guy was rolling the bottom. So I've made a lot of laps at Chili Bowl and iRacing, so I definitely knew that the slider line was still going to be just as fast in 1 and 2, but the bottom in 3 and 4 is pretty much the same speed. So I knew if I kind of block him down there, he wouldn't know how to run the slider line because he's been running the bottom the whole race.
And you say that, but how much of that stuff can you really run through in practice? I mean, obviously the racetrack's different every time, but is it something that if you're smart enough, you can plan ahead and try to run through all those situations?
Yeah, we run a lot of heat races, like formats and stuff with all these bigger shows at Chili Bowl. So the track kind of wears in the same, but it was a little different tonight. It had like a bigger curb. I think iRacing has been working on the curb, and they've been trying to get that where it's like closer to real life, and they've done a really good job. So you can kind of get up into that. But you also have to look in your mirror. iRacing has a mirror in dirt cars for some reason, but you got to use that to your advantage.
I mean, come on. Can you see half the pavement guys like me trying to actually drive a dirt car without a mirror? We're screaming enough as it is trying to drive sideways. I mean, we need something for comfort. Nonetheless, next week we go to a pavement racetrack and cover it in dirt. The Lanier National Speedway, the 3/8 mile, very wide racetrack down just northeast of Atlanta, Georgia. And that's a facility that, as we mentioned, it's a pavement track, and iRacing kind of virtually covered it with dirt, something they don't do very often in the interest of maybe having a little fun and giving you guys a few more tracks to play with for now. What's that racetrack like for somebody who maybe isn't familiar with it from the seat of one of these POWRi midgets?
Lanier's a very, very fun track. It's super racy. You can run down there right against the inside wall and try not to hit the wall, or you can put it right up against the fence on the top. And it's super wide, so you can have a lot of racing. And then sometimes like a diamond line kind of comes in effect there, or you can just straight run right through the middle and it's pretty quick because it's a nice banking facility. And then there's like some negative banking down there on the bottom, so you have to get your right rear kind of perfect to run the bottom. Takes a lot of laps to get down there and then not hit the entrance going into one and then coming off of three, try not to hit the entrance there too.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be a challenge. Sounds like it's going to be a fun time. We look forward to seeing you next week at the Lanier National Speedway. Until then, enjoy this one, but I'm sure you'll be back at a virtual track here in about 10 minutes.
Like always. All right, thanks POWRi for putting this race on. WR1 Sim Chassis for coming out and Tub Esports.
Those are the thoughts of Dason Pursley, your winner chase here tonight at the Chili Bowl. And the guy he beat, man, oh man, oh man, what a race it was. And it sounds like Jaden Wolf might be around for you.
Let's see if we can get a hold of Jaden Wolf here. I'm going to need an 2X t-shirt, Jaden, after that run right there. Obviously, you weren't on the top of the racetrack where people normally sell shirts, but he had just about drove by Dason Pursley, a guy that's got a lot of laps around here in the sim and in real life at the Tulsa Shootout. Man, you were working the bottom like no other, man, and you just about stole the win right there. What was going through your head those last couple laps?
I was just worried about throttle control and trying to keep it off the berm as much as possible without looping the car.
One more lap, do you think you would have had something for him right there? I think maybe even a half lap, you probably would have gotten by him.
I don't know. It was really close. It was just a matter of who's making the mistake.
You started pretty far back in the field, according to my list here. You started 11th, end up second tonight. A solid run for you. I'm sure you got quite a few people watching. You got any sponsors? Anybody you got to thank for putting you up to the second place tonight?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Advert. They helped me for years. I'd like to also thank Cleffels and H&H General Excavating.
Tony, Jaden Wolf put on a great show tonight, ends up in second, and it looks like we've got our third place finisher, Jeffrey Denny, up here in the broadcast booth as well. And I think you might have a quick word with Mr. Jeffrey here.
Yeah, had a solid run all night and kind of inherited a couple of spots there late in the going. And Jeff, that what would you have done differently, or what could you have done differently, if anything, to maybe have that play out, a little bit more to your liking at the end?
I probably would have been more aggressive, more at the beginning of the race. I kind of just rode around there behind McIntosh just to save my stuff. And then when he like got a little sideways there off of four, I got into him a little bit and got some wheel damage. So it was a lot harder to drive after that. But basically just tack a little bit harder at the beginning of the race.
And we saw that from a lot of drivers early, especially in the back, maybe taking some chances they shouldn't have otherwise taken and didn't realize it until it was too late. Very common, though, in some of these deals because you can make up a lot of spots, obviously, early. You talk about saving your stuff, and I know there's a lot of people watching this that still are new to this whole iRacing thing, and they're going, seriously, dude, it's a video game. There's no, just go drive. Explain to them how you can actually save your stuff and how much that is integrated into the sim.
Yeah, since Chili Bowl is such a small track, it's very important just to keep your nose clean at the beginning of the race to be there at the end, because that's when the big bucks are paid the last lap. Try to be there right on the last lap and get the win.
And of course, you've got tire wear to worry about. You've got damage on the car, as you alluded to, that can then hinder you, whether it's bending something in suspension or a wheel or whatever the case might be. And certainly all those things are modeled, whether you rip the thing out of it or whether you just, barely knock the toe out, all of it does have an effect. And next week at Lanier, compared to this joint, you're going to a super speedway. How do you get around the Lanier National Speedway?
And that place is just basically a hammer down and hope for the best right around the top when it gets slick. This place is Chili Bowl is a lot more technical on your lines and how you save your stuff every lap. So next weekend should be really racy.
Well, we're certainly looking forward to it. Here's part of the Lucas Oil POWRi Midget iRacing League. And you know what? You put on a pretty good show yourself, so congratulations on that. We look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you.
That's Jeffrey Denny, and drove it to a third place finish tonight, Chase. Got to say, pretty impressed with the show these guys put on. Not that the Chili Bowl ever disappoints, because it doesn't, but that one got really good there at the end. And man, what we would have done for an extra handful of laps.
What we would have done for an extra 2 laps right there. I think the complexion of that race would have changed completely. We might have been talking to Jaden Wolf about his victory tonight with how good he was rolling the bottom right there. I just don't think Persley was that good down there, and Jaden Wolf knew it, and he took advantage and just about won that thing. As we mentioned, just a tenth and a half behind Persley coming to the start-finish line there to end it after 50 laps of action. Obviously, Jeffrey Dinner ended up third. Then it was Cannon McIntosh, Ethan Bill rounding out the top 5. Then Tiernan, Axum, McDermott, Gropp, and Dalby rounding out the top 10. Tony, another fantastic show here with the POWRi midgets here on iRacing.com. And sorry I was a little late tonight, man. I'm going to try and make it a little bit earlier next week because I love doing these races. The action is great. And like these guys have mentioned in these interviews, Lanier National Speedway put on a heck of a show with the midgets.
Hammer down, as they said, and that is probably pretty accurate. That place is big, wide, round. It's classified as a 3/8 mile, but it drives like something much, much bigger. There is no doubt about that. So we look forward to seeing you here this time or next, same time, same channel next week here for the POWRi Lucas Oil Midget Racing League on iRacing.
Hey, Tony.
Until then,
Real quick,
yes.
Billy Wolf in the chat on Facebook, he says, I do believe we have a 2X shirt for you.
Well, look at that.
All right, Billy, get a hold of me.
Absolutely. Send him a PM, send him something because I don't want the thought of him running around with the midriff shirt. I just, no. I'm sorry. So look at that. Chase got himself a t-shirt out of the deal. So on behalf of Chase Rodman, the newly now reclothed Chase Rodman, as well as Ryan Bowling and the entire crew behind the scenes making everything happen, my name's Tony Stevens, signing off saying we'll see you next time from the virtual races, hopefully sooner rather than later, the real races. Until then, good night, stay healthy, and we'll see you then.